Okay, so we're about to do the homework right now from 1 to 6. And you guys, you can ask questions whenever. That's fine. So number one, we're going to try to take out what's in common. But here's a really important deal. When you have a 3x and a 3x minus 6, this right here, this right here is a grouping. They're together. They're tied up because of that minus sign, sometimes a plus sign also. But you cannot split them up like that. So you're forced to do something, which is take out what's in common. So we're going to treat the numerator and denominator separately. So the numerator is just 3 times x. So I can write it 3 times x. Just split it up as much as I can. This right here has like this implied like parentheses, okay? Now it's 3x minus 6. Now you can't just split up 3x and then put 6 here. You can't just do that. But what you can do is something that we did in chapter 3, which is factor out what's in common between 3x and 6. So this is why this section is hard, because we're using all of chapter 3, sometimes in one question. So 3x and 6 have in common number 3. They have the biggest factor, the greatest common factor is just 3. So I'm going to write this as 3. Parenthesis, what's inside is what happens when I divide out the 3. So when I divide out the 3.
So would it be x minus 2?
Good. 3x
I remember this.
is just x. And then 6 minus divided by 3 is just 2. So then we just ripped out what's in common. Now, like I said earlier, not yet. Sadly.
Oh, okay.
What I said earlier, when you have a plus or minus, they're like this. They're too tight together. They're wrapped up. When it's a minus or a division, they're kind of like next to each other, but they're not connected. They're just really just touching each other. With that in mind, because the 3 is being multiplied by something else, there's nothing directly adding or dividing or adding or subtracting to this 3 right here that I just underlined. That means I could take this 3 on top and this 3 on bottom and cross them out. I couldn't do that before because it was right next to the minus 6, and that was not okay. But now it's separated with parentheses. I'm allowed to cross them out. Your final answer for this question is going to be x over x minus 2. Parentheses, when there's only like one set, is implied, so you don't have to write the parentheses on the bottom. So your answer for number 1 is x over x minus 2. That's how you simplify.
Got it.
Okay, let's go to number 2 now. Number 2.
I feel like I'm going to forget how to do this when it's like an actual test.
We have a lot of days to practice it. Don't sweat it. Number 2. X minus 3, x plus 1, x minus 2, x minus 3. Now, like I said, in the parentheses, they're a group like this. Outside of the parentheses, they're like just touching. So this exact group, x minus 3, matches the exact group on the bottom, x minus 3. So if you have the exact same pairing on both top and on bottom, that means I could cross them out as a unit. So that's x minus 3, x minus 3. As a couple, you could cross them out. And this is very important. Now I have, let me rewrite this as x plus 1 over x minus 2. Now, this is a common mistake, and I expect this to happen, especially if people are not watching the videos or all as detailed as possible. But here, you are not, again, you are not allowed to cross out these two x's, even though there's one on top and bottom, because that x is locked in with 1 on the top, and that x on the bottom is locked in with -2. So you cannot split them. So at this point, you're done. You cannot simplify anymore.
I feel like that's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one looked easier.
Yeah. Number 3.
5 does not look good.
Number 6 and 5 is a little bit of a beast. But
yeah,
number
that's
3,
confusing.
let's look at it carefully. We got x plus 2, and we got 4 times x minus 3.
So cross out the x's right away, right?
Wrong,
No.
because why?
No, because it's not.
Before is connected to the
But
X.
if in the first one, you get 3 over x, 3 times x equals 3, parentheses x minus 2. Isn't the 4 and the x not connected to each other?
You're right, but is the 4 and the x
Oh, because
the
that's
same
right, because
number?
the 4 is on the outside, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
never mind.
4 is
I
on
got
the outside,
confused.
but you don't have a 4 on top to cancel it out.
Right,
They have to
so yeah.
match
You
up.
can do it.
They have
I'm
to be
not
exactly the same.
thinking.
But here's the issue, though. X plus 2, there's nothing in common that I could take out. There's no way I could really rewrite it. So it's just x plus 2 on top. On the bottom, it's 4 times x minus 3. It's already separated as best as possible because x minus 3, there's nothing in common between x and 3, and 4 is just a number.
Isn't it like
This-
impossible to do?
Not impossible. The term is it's already as simple as possible.
Oh, okay.
So the answer
Uh-huh.
is what is here. Literally, x plus 2 over 4x minus 3. Plus 2 over 4 times x minus 3.
But how do we know it's going to be like one of those problems?
That's on you. You have to look at it. So it says here, number 3, not possible. Not possible to simplify. If you write already simplified, you write the same thing again. I know you meant that.
Okay.
And Rachel, you said, like, how do we know? That's why you have to do each problem. And this is why it's very weird, this section, this part, because each one, there's not really like a pattern. Like, I couldn't really make steps. I mentioned in the video I did steps, but I had to scrap them because they don't actually apply to every question. And that's why it's kind of hard, this one. It's just very free form. Okay.
Okay.
Wait,
So
the
4
reason
by
you
6.
couldn't do
What's up, Rachel?
the reason you couldn't do the 4 is because like it's
Is there a
'cause there's
4
no
on
4
top
on
at
top?
all, Kaplan,
No.
to cancel out the 4 on bottom?
no.
No, so that's why we couldn't do the 4.
Okay.
There's nobody to match up with. They have to be exactly the
Mhm.
same on top and bottom. Even if they're a group, like in number 2, you have an x minus 3 combined and an x minus 3 locked in. They're exactly the same, so you could cancel those out.
Okay.
So let's go to number 4. Now, number 4, 5, 6 is where we get tough because now we have to use all those chapter 3 skills. Let's look at number 4 on the top first. Number 4, the numerator. And I'm going to clear this so I have space. Number 4, the numerator is x squared minus 9. Now, this is from, I think we were in school when we were learning this. We can factor out x squared minus 9 as the square root of this plus the square root of that. What does that mean? I could do x plus 3, parenthesis, x minus 3. I hope
Oh, I
this,
remember this.
yeah, this should at least feel familiar. Like,
Yeah,
I won't
yeah.
expect you to tell me this without me telling you first, but this should feel familiar. So you have x plus 3, x minus 3. You're allowed to do that when they're both perfect squares. X squared is a perfect squared. What is a perfect squared? That means that there's a number that multiplies into both the top and the bottom. So that is the top right there. And in the bottom part, so that's x plus 3, x minus 3. Now the bottom part, and I guess let me just, before I even say the bottom part, let me just rewrite it here. This is x plus 3, x minus 3. Ellie, we're going over problems. We're on number 4, okay? So the bottom now is not that perfect square thing. It's a x squared plus 5 and plus 6. So what we got to do with that is
Take out.
no, we can't add them. They're not like terms. We
What can you
can't
take out?
something in common between them because they don't have something in common between all 3 of them. So we're
So is that
forcing-
it?
X squared and 5x.
What we can do is factor them. Now, what is factoring? Let's think about it. Let's identify A, B, and C. Maybe we'll start remembering this as we go. A, B, and C. A is 1, B is 5, C is 6. Now-
I remember this too.
You have to find 2 numbers that do 2 things. 1,
Oh my god.
multiply to
Or like
6
and then divide and like add something. Yeah. Oh my
and
God.
add to 5. In this case, always it's multiply to C, add to B.
Oh my God, I remember this.
So we got to find things that multiply to 6 that add to 5.
Ooh.
So we have, let me just list things that multiply to 6. They're not that much.
Oh,
1 and
6 and
3 and
1.
2.
And
Ow.
3 and 2. So
Can't you do -1 and
you could do -1 and -6 too, and then -2 and -3. But let's just keep it to 1 and 6, 2 and 3, because I know
2
I'm
and
aiming for
3.
positive 5. So 1 plus 6 is 7. So this is not the one I want. 2 plus 3 is
This
5.
one.
That is what I want. So these two numbers, 2 and 3, become the two numbers here. X plus 2 and then x plus 3. Okay? So now the top and bottom have been factored out. And I'm going to rewrite it in my big fraction over here. X plus 2, x plus 3.
Oh, you can cancel out x plus because they're not like connected.
Which ones can we cancel out?
X plus
X
3.
plus 3 and x plus 3.
X plus 3 is good. We could cancel out these guys because they're exactly the same on top and bottom. Exactly the same. So then it's x minus 3 over x plus 2. Is there anything we can cancel out?
No.
No. The x's are two locked in with the -3, and the bottom one is to locked in with positive 2. They're not separate x's. They're locked in x's. So we could circle that. We are done in that one.
sounds really interesting. I didn't like it one bit.
I know, but we're going to do it 2 more times, okay?
It's just weird because you don't know like if like you don't know if like it's kind of like hard to remember if you have to like take out or factor.
Yeah.
That's why,
Yeah.
that's why this section is very tough. It's very free form in the sense like you might have to go this way, then this way. You might have to go down and then up, or up and then down. That's
Also,
why it's not
it's
a
never like
followed. It's not a recipe. It's like a, I don't know, like a web, I guess, more like.
it's never like you could remember like this section you have to do this because they're all different.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why this section is tough. Very free form, which is not very helpful when you just want to study like a problem every time. They're
Yeah.
unique. Okay, I'm going to clear the page. Is everyone good here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need space for number 4. Okay, or number 5, I'm sorry. So number 5, and I'll do this in red. Let me mix up the colors. So number 5, we have a top and bottom situation where right now looking at it, I can't take out anything, but can I rewrite it to be able to take out anything? So let's
Yeah.
do the top and bottom. Now this one, number 5, is a super tricky one. So let's try it. So the top though, the top is very straightforward, just like we did before. X squared plus 5x plus 4. I'm going to ask you, Kaplan, which one do we multiply to and which one do we add to?
So you multiply to 4 to add to b, right?
Yes, you multiply to 4 to add to 5. Okay, good.
Can I just say it?
Yeah, what is it?
It's 4, 1.
4 and 1, good. So it multiplies to 4, and 4 and 1 adds up to 5. So, Eliza, what is going to be my parentheses?
1 minute. I'm writing this down.
No problem.
Okay. 5. So then x plus 4, x plus 1.
Good, x plus 4 and x plus 1. Okay. So, because I'm a little lazy, I'm just going to do this and then bring it over here.
Not enough room on the page.
I know, this takes space. That's why I can't give you that. Like 6 problems is already a lot for this
Yeah.
section. All right, so that's the top, okay? And I just moved it over here. So now let's do the bottom, and I'll do a different color so we don't get confused. The bottom is x squared minus 16. Well, you look at it first and you said, well, nothing's in common with x squared and 16, but you have to think, is these perfect squares? And remember, perfect squares are when whole numbers square to it. Well, 2 times 2
That's what
equals
they
4.
are.
3 times
It's
3 equals
x minus 4 and x plus 4, right?
good, because
Yeah.
16 can be broken up to 4 and 4. 4 times 4 gives you 16.
So then
Now-
can't you cross out the x plus 4 and then the other x plus 4 that's about to come?
Excellent. You guys are catching this nicely.
So it's
So
x plus 1
x
over
minus 4.
x minus. It's x plus 1 over x minus 4, right?
Minus 4.
Oh, you guys are doing great. Do you guys want to leave the number 6 for me and then so I can relax?
Sure.
Ooh.
Sure. It's like you get, if you do it a lot, you start getting it.
Yeah,
This,
like it.
this is
Now you're
the
starting
only
to pick it
solution
up.
is to practice in this one. So
Yeah.
x plus 1 over x minus 4. And let me just say this for anyone who might be watching this later. We are able to cross out the x plus 4s because they're exactly the same on top and bottom. Okay? So 3 of you guys are talking. I'm going to split it up. One person is going to do the top, one person is going to do the bottom, and one person is going to do the finish. Who wants to do the top?
I could do the finish. I'll do the easy job. I'm joking.
Rachel, you really need to do the top for me? What about if I help you do the top?
Okay.
Bottom.
All right, thank you, Kaplan. So let's clear this up so we have some space. If you're watching us, YouTube, just pause if you don't have time. So we got the top is x squared minus 2x minus 8. Rachel, what would you suggest we do first?
Isn't it supposed to do with the 8 found the factor for the 8?
Good. So let's find I think you said the factors for the 8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's find what multiplies to very particularly negative 8. Can you give me a pair of numbers, Rachel?
Negative 2 and 4.
Oh, good. Negative 2 and 4. Negative 2 plus 4 gives us a positive 2. Really close, but we're looking for a negative 2. So can you?
Can I say it or no?
No,
Wait,
it's
then
Rachel.
can't you do
Whoa, go ahead, Rachel.
negative 4 and 2 then?
Good. So then we go negative 4 and 2 because negative 4 plus 2, negative 4 is the bigger one that takes the final sign, negative 2. So negative 4 and 2 is now our parentheses.
Factors.
Yeah, our factors. So I'll write
So
that.
then don't you do x minus 4 and then x plus 2?
Terrific, Rachel. Okay. So we got the x minus 4 and the x plus 2. I'll go back.
Wait, what about the x squared, or is that done?
Yeah, that's what I was
Because
about to say. What about
The x squared, when we split it up like that, that's where the x squared is occurring because x times x, you see the red lines right there, become x squared later. But we're breaking it up purposely
yeah.
to get rid of that. We don't want it. It's kind of inconvenient, honestly. All right. So now we got our next one. And Kaplan, you say you're going to do the bottom. So
Yeah, I got. Wait, I'm just writing this down.
no problem. Me too. And
Okay, so
I
then-
should have done this for the last one, but let me just point out B is 7 and C is 10.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Kaplan.
So you have to find factors of 10 that eventually add to 7 or subtract in a way.
Okay, good. You keep going.
So you can do 5 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
which is 10, and then if you add 5 plus 2 together, you get 7.
Good.
So then your final answer would be x plus 5 and x plus 2.
Nice. Good. So x plus 5 and x plus 2. Eliza, I think you said you're going to do the finisher?
Yeah.
All
Then
right.
you finish, then you cross out each of the x plus 2s on the top and the bottom.
Excellent. So we're going to cross
And
out
you
the
get
x.
x plus 4 over x plus 5.
It's not x plus 4 on top?
minus 4.
X, that's what I
Minus,
meant. X
yeah.
minus 4.
Okay.
I just wrote it
Eliza,
wrong.
because you had an easy job, I'm going to ask you, why am I not allowed to cross out these x's over here and just have negative 4 over 5?
Because they're connected to each other.
Good. They're connected to the negative 4 and they're connected to the positive 5. So they are not alone, those x's. They are connected to those constants, we say, or those numbers. All right? So anyone here, take a picture of what you wrote, submit it right now. You're done for the homework today. Anyone who's watching this, I hope this helped you.
Once you understand it, it's easy, right?
Yeah, once you
Yeah.
do it.
You have to do it.
After
That's the
4,
best way to
like,
do
I
it.
have to do 5 and 6.
Yeah, but it's you have to do it, and depending, you guys I think did well. If you did well in the chapter 3 a while back, then yeah, it's easy for you.
Yeah.
But some people didn't do so well, so we got to practice that skill on top of the new skill. Okay.
was pretty good.
Any more questions of the homework, particularly on this one?
Nope.
No.
I want to have you
Thank you.
wish you guys a good day, guys. Okay.
Thank
Hey,
you
don't forget
so
to check
much.
your email, Mr. Tobel.
All right, I'll check it out.
Don't forget to do my
Bye.
test.
Peace.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you.
Tobel.
Bye bye. Good. See you guys.